Hello everyone, this is Ward Planet, and this is my first YouTube broadcast, so we'll see how it goes. You can find me on Twitter at Ward Planet or on Google+, just search Ward Planet. So I'm going to tell you about this interesting study that looked at 8 weeks of meditation and how it can change emotional processing even in people that had never tried meditation before. And so this was recently published in Frontiers in Human Neuroscience. And so I thought this was a very good paper to discuss in my first YouTube. So interestingly, they had 3 groups, and again, as I pointed out previously, none of them had had any meditation experience. So the first group did mindful attention training, and this is what you probably typically think of when you think of meditation, about focused attention. They had a second group which is about compassion training. So in a meditative type state, but what you're trying to learn here in this case is compassion. And then they didn't have a control group that did nothing. Instead, they had an active control group, and that's better than just a control group that stayed at home. So this active control group also went to once-a-week sessions, which I'll explain here in a minute, talking about health discussion. And this was a taught class. So all participants in the study went to once-a-week class, including the active control group, and they had a 2-hour class, so a total of 16 hours. And then the 2 meditative groups also were instructed to meditate about 20 minutes a day outside of the class. So the first group, the mindful meditation group, did what we would think of traditional meditation and learned about focused attention and mindful awareness. And included in this once-a-week class, there was a 40-minute meditative session. And then again, they were instructed to try to do 20 minutes a day during the rest of the week. The second group was this compassion training. So basically, they wanted to the teachers were teaching them about loving kindness, so more compassion about people and things in our life. And this also included, during the once-a-week training session, a 40-minute meditative session. And the third group, the control group, was a health intervention control class, as I mentioned. And this is a class that is normally taught, and the instructors think this is useful for the people. And in this case, they were taught about emotional and physical health in adults. Now, overall, the traditional meditative group averaged 645 minutes through the entire week. And remember, 20 minutes times 56 days, which is the 8 weeks, would have been 1,120. So in essence, they averaged about 10 minutes per day, so not a lot. And then the compassion-based therapy was 454 minutes, not statistically different between these groups. But really, the results that we'll be looking at here in a minute is based on an average of 10 minutes a day, so something very doable for all of us. So how they tested people was before they started this experiment and afterwards, and they used functional MRI scan of the brain, like I said, before they started the thing and then after the 8-week testing or training period. And also, what is interesting about this study, it wasn't done in a meditative state, so they didn't get an fMRI scanner and go into a meditative state. This was their normal state, and this is more important because this is more realistic for day-to-day living. And then what they were shown was images of people in settings, and the settings could be positive, negative, or neutral. And we'll see how this is important. And so this is the first result. And so when they looked at all images, both negative, positive, and neutral, we can see that the red group here, which is the traditional meditative, the awareness group, there was a reduction in the activity level of the right amygdala pre and post. Pre here, post here. So that was the only statistical difference, and it was only in the right amygdala. The amygdala is kind of our fear, oversimplified, but our fear center. So it would activate in a fear state. And then if we look just at the positive images in this experiment, in this B here, we can see again the mindful awareness training. We see a reduction in activity in the amygdala, in the right amygdala. There was no other statistical differences, but they did, when they kind of dove a little bit further into the results, we can see something interesting here. Or this is just an outline of example what they would see. This is the right amygdala, and we can see some activity here. And again, this in theory would be reduced in a mindful awareness group. But what they found for the other group, the compassionate training group, was an actually increase in amygdala activation for negative images. And the way we can explain this is that if you're more compassionate and you see an image of a person suffering from something, because of the compassion training, there was more activity. And interesting, this was correlated. They didn't see it on a strict basis of if they compared the different groups, but if they did a correlation between depression level, basically, and this doesn't mean that people were depressed, but just we all have still a depression level scale on the scoring system. We see the people that had better response, so they increased their ability to have compassion. They actually saw a reduction of their overall depressive level, even though this is not at the state of being depressed. So that was interesting. So what's the take-home message here? Is that, would we all be better with a little bit improved emotional control? And if you think so, and if you think you might do better with better emotional control, why not give meditation a try? And remember, the study was only 8 weeks long. These were people who hadn't done meditation before, and it appears that even 10 minutes of mindful meditation per day for 8 weeks can improve your emotional processing, and this might lead to better improvement in your life. So I hope you enjoyed this podcast. Please follow me on Twitter or on Google+, and I'll hopefully be doing one of these every week. Thank you very much.